Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. So today we're going to talk about Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment. So there you go. And I will say this, you got to be careful with stuff like this because over 2 million copies of this book have been sold. It is a #1 New York Times bestseller, just like every other book on the planet at this point. But this talks about spirituality without talking about God. So, Eric, what I found out about this was that Eckhart Tolle doesn't have a lot of education or a lot of upbringing around spirituality. He did attend schools, but basically, here's what it says he is. It says he is a contemporary spiritual leader, or spiritual teacher rather, who is not aligned with any particular religion or tradition. He writes with timeless and uncomplicated clarity of the ancient spiritual masters and imparts simple yet profound message that there is a way out of suffering and into peace. He is the author of Stillness Speaks, Practicing the Power of Now, and he travels widely and lives in Vancouver, British Columbia. So let me say this. None of these ideas in this book are new. They do come from true spirituality and spiritual leaders of the past, right? It does talk about some things that Jesus said around the importance of living now and not worrying about tomorrow. That is the key point of the book. The key point of the book and the whole reason this book exists is to tell people how important it is to live in the present. Because you can't do anything about the past and the future does not exist yet, okay? But most of the time in modern society specifically, once you've got past of all the components of survival, right, where you have shelter, you have water, you have food, you're safe, people then start worrying about the future. And in that, they forget where they are right now. You'll never get this day again. So a lot of people wake up being cranky and upset because basically it's just another day. And in their mind, the days will keep on coming. When in fact, the only guarantee we have in life is that one day will be our last and that time comes to an end, right? Our time, individually wise. So that's the key component of the book. I did underline quite a few things here about some of it. So let's say it's talking about specifically identification with your mind and how you look at yourself and how you observe things. So that's like the first few chapters of the book, and then it starts talking about your pain, your mind pain, your it's like it's an entity, a pain that's in your brain. So basically, bad things happen in life, and you focus on that, and just basically the thinking about it brings you pain, and that's in your mind. So let's talk about my viewpoint of it. And if you want to read the book, it is an easy read. Okay, it is motivational to a point. At the end of the day, the key concept is you need to live in the present because the past is gone and the future is fiction, right? I mean, there's nothing you can do about either one of those. You just have to every day try to make the best choices you can. So here's what I suggest to people when I'm talking about it. I can go in and have impact in places where other people cannot, and the reason I can is because I'm grateful for every single day. I also hit things with a positive attitude because no matter what, things can get better. You just have to focus on where you're at, take a step, and then sustain those steps. And even if you take a tiny little step, if you take that tiny little step 300 days in a row, you'll be much farther down the road than where you started just by taking that tiny little step. So the power of being present means that you're going to get the most out of today that you can because days are precious. God doesn't promise us another single day, right? And there's a verse from Psalms that says, this is a day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. I have that verse on the wall in my bedroom, so when I wake up, it's one of the first things I see because no matter what's going on, if you wake up like me, I've had a rough lifestyle, got hit by an 18-wheeler a couple years ago, so I wake up in a lot of pain typically. It's still a great day. A lot of people didn't wake up today, okay? They died yesterday, and this is an unfortunate week. I got news this week of a young 16-year-old girl that passed away this week. I'm far 3 times that age. And so that just goes to show age is not, there's no guarantee, right? Just because you're young doesn't mean you've got countless days left ahead of you. So Power of Now, I will say, does a good job of saying focus on the present. The problem I have about what he quotes, he doesn't give credit to who he's quoting or where he got it from. So, for example, in here he quotes several Bible verses, but he never says where they come from in the Bible. He quotes Gandhi. He quotes Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., same people that I quote, but he doesn't say where the stuff came from. And then after every little statement of fact that he uses with support from some ancient wisdom, he then puts in some of his intensely strong opinions opinions with his spiritual talk and his mystical words. So I would not recommend this. I would recommend reading something else that's positive and uplifting, that's actually written by someone who's done stuff in life. This guy is a spiritual person, a spiritual teacher. That doesn't mean squat to me. So The Power of Now, it's an interesting read if you don't have an attitude of gratitude, if you don't live every day to the fullest, if you don't appreciate every minute you have on this earth. If you do appreciate those things, then I would say read Proverbs in the Bible, right? Or read some other great books that I've mentioned before, Good to Great, Successful Intelligence, these things that make you think more about how you do things today, specifically to increase the profitability and the productivity of your future. That would be my suggestion. So there you go. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, New York Times bestseller, over 2 million copies sold. It's all right. It's a interesting book. I picked it up just because I've heard about it many, many, many times, and I wanted to see if this guy came from somewhere of strength. He doesn't. He comes in with the froofy stuff and talks about, all the things of id and ego, right? He brings up a bunch of stuff that is taught in Stoicism and in psychology and sociology, so it's going to feel familiar. That's why he uses a bunch of terms and phrases that other people have used many, many times before. I'm Ben. If you like subject matter such as this, please please subscribe. I'd probably pass on that book because there's several better books to spend your time on. And we do review books on this channel. I try to do it as often. I read quite a bit. I'm generally reading 3 or 4 at a time. And so typically I'll do what I'm doing right now. I'll get a stack of 6 of them that I read recently and do some reviews on them and put them on the channel so people can see that. This book specifically somebody asked me about last week, so I went ahead and got it, read it, and coming back with my 2 cents. So if you like stuff like this, please subscribe, please share. I'm Ben. Be good.